All right, so we made it to the farm. Gonna start putting some cameras up here, but I wanted to do a quick rundown on what I'm using today. I got three different things I'm using. They all kind of serve their own purpose. Everybody knows corn. Corn's a great attractant for deer to get them in front of your camera. So I got a little bit of corn, and I've also got some of this stuff that the co-op around my house was bragging about a lot. They call it Antler Boost deer feed. What it is, I'll tell you what's inside of it. It's got peanuts, soybean, corn, and calcium citrate, or however you say it. I know that calcium's good for antler growth. Soybeans also a good source of protein, and then corn, you know, everybody knows they like corn. So, and I also got some trophy rocks. Mineral rocks are good because they typically last a long time, and that's kind of what I need because I'm 2.5 hours away from home. I can't come up here every weekend, much less, you know, in the afternoons during the week. So I need some stuff that's going to stay out there for a while. So I picked these out. We're going to give them a try. And but right now we're going to go get to hiking and look for a good camera spot for camera number 1. So let's get to work. All right, so I made it to my first camera site. What I'm in right now is I'm in kind of like a hardwood draw, and it's a real high traffic area. I've hunted this area before. I actually hunted pretty close to here pretty hard last year, but I think what it was is I was a little bit too far back in there because they kind of hang out in here throughout the day because it gets pretty low. It's out of the shade, it's out of the sun, you know, they're in the shade. It's probably a little bit cooler. So this year I'm not gonna push back as far, especially since I know that they run this ridge and also that ridge over there. They run them pretty good, going to a big food plot that's, I don't know, 400 or 500 yards to the south. Another good thing to keep in mind when you're setting up a camera is false pictures, you know, stuff like that, and ways to get around that, and not only false pictures, but like glare or bad pictures, because the worst thing ever is when you get a picture and you can tell it's a big deer, but you can't see them because there's a glare. And glares usually obviously come from the sun, so a good thing you can do is try your best to point your camera either north or south. That way in the morning, if you got an east-facing camera, you're gonna have a lot of glare because you got the sun shining down on you. So keep that in mind. You know, try to keep it north or south facing to get better pictures without a glare. So, and as far as false pictures, you know, any kind of leaves or saplings or whatever that could be blowing in front of your camera to trigger a picture, you kind of want to try to clear those out to save battery life and also save memory on your camera card. So I'm gonna get this one set up, run back and go get some bait, throw it out, and we'll move on to the next one. It is humid out here. All right, so we got our second camera set up here. We're on the very south side of the property, setting up this thing for my brother-in-law. One very important thing to remember is don't put a camera where you think if you were a deer, oh, I'd walk through here. Don't put a camera there. You kind of want to, now unless you don't know the property. If you don't know the property, you kind of have to use your surroundings. But you know, we're fortunate enough to have some private land, so we've been hunting this property for a long time. So we kind of know the ins and outs of it a little bit. This is a really good area where they come onto the property off of this creek behind me. Again, it's another low spot for them to keep cool. So we're gonna finish putting this camera up, throw some bait out, and we're gonna move on to the next one. It's hot. All right, so we're at camera site number 3. Kind of where I'm at right now. I'm in a mix of hardwoods and pines, and I'll pan around and show you kind of where I'm at. They tend to, there's a ridge on the east side of the road over here that they typically walk up and down, but there's also a really big draw, or not a draw, excuse me. There's also a really big ridge that runs north to south on the west side of me as well. And they travel on both of them, and they often cut through here. There's a pretty good padded down trail through here. The good old scrape from last year right here, so I know it's a good spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw another camera up, put some feed out, and move on to the next one before I get too hot. So. All right, I got camera number 3 set up. It's still hot. Yeah, still hot. All right, so I made it to the last camera spot. This camera that I'm fixing to put out is not a cell camera. It's just a regular trail camera. It just takes pictures and stores them. I'm gonna put one here on this feeder. I haven't ran this feeder in a little over a year, I believe. I set it out the first year. Didn't get a lot of traffic by it, but you gotta let them get acclimated to something new like this, or like a shooting house. Best thing to do is, if you're gonna put a feeder up, don't bank on getting a ton of pictures right away. Because like I said, it's something that's unique, something that's different, and it may come off as a threat to your deer or to whatever wildlife you're trying to look at. So allow for time for them to get used to it. This feeder's been here for 2.5 years in the same spot. So I don't feel like they're gonna be too worried about it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this battery in it, fill it up with some corn, and find a good place to put my camera. I want to show y'all what I was using to mount my cameras to the tree, because normally we just use straps, the straps that come with the camera, but last year we had a couple instances where they were getting pulled down by something, whether it be a coyote, bobcat, whatever, but they'd be off the tree and 10, 15, 20 yards into the woods. So I'm using these now. I don't know if it's focused, but basically how it works, it's very simple. This screws into the tree, and you have this, your threaded little nut. You stick it through there, and then you screw your camera on top, and it's secure. So this is what we're using. Just wanted to show y'all. Alright, so there you have it. That's our last camera of the day. Feels kind of silly driving all the way up here, spending a couple hours just to put cameras up, but that's part of it. That's part of hunting. That's part of preseason. So, like I said, got this one on a feeder here. Got it on video, just for something different. So I feel pretty good about where I got all the cameras hung. I think it ought to produce some pretty good pictures. Hopefully we got some pretty good deer that show up on camera. Had a couple decent ones last year. One really good one. Hoping that he made it. If he did, he ought to be a pretty good stud for Alabama. So fingers crossed we got some good pictures coming in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna end it off here. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please leave a like and a comment. Hope to see you next time. Appreciate it.